Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio. It is June 9th, and we are so excited about our time with you today. We have several questions, great questions that have come along line. So let's just jump right into it, guys. But do want to thank, hey, Tom, great to see you. We missed you last month and hope things are well with you.
Getting better. We're being able to move around a little bit better. I got PT again this morning, right after the show. PT.
2-mile run, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. There you go.
That's me. How did you know? Yeah, they see me do 100 push-ups and they're going to go, "What drug am I on?" Jeez.
The good kind.
Apparently.
Jeff, how are you doing?
Doing very well, sir. Very well
Wonderful.
Indeed.
Well, listen, we're still on the series of Your Turn to Ask, and we've got a great question to kick us off here. Uncle Blair, love that they use the Uncle Blair. Received my property tax and do not know how to challenge them. Can you help? This is a great question. I'm just going to give a quick overview here, and this is based in Texas only. This is information from the Texas analysis, but I don't know about the rest of the states. But only 8% of Texans challenge their property tax on an annual basis. And the bottom line is you have a right to challenge them every year. But property tax is the biggest thing for here in Texas to run the government, to gain the funds. So we do need to challenge them. We need to be aware of the process. So right off the bat, we need to understand the people that do the analysis for these values, all of them are past appraisers. They're either retired or they might even be active, but they're past appraisers. So if you approach it in an appraisal manner in presenting your deterrence or changes, then I see it more effective. Guys, do you have some input on that?
Well, I would tell you that, I contest all my properties appraisals each year. And as such, one of the things that they ask for to do or for us to do is to give current pictures of those properties. And that is like the appraiser would do. Go to the property, go take pictures of it. If it's your own home, obviously you want to do it when the kids have left everything lying out. You want to leave it when, the garage is not at its best look. You want to do it, those pictures, so that they portray the house and the spirit in which it is lived in. And if they're rental properties in particular, that's not really sometimes very hard to show that there's some basic wear and tear going on in the house. So the preparation for this is much like an appraiser would do. They go to the property, they take a picture of the exterior. They may take shots of the street itself. If your neighbor's parking the car in his lawn now, a good shot of the house with that car next door parked in the lawn would be a good picture to have. So I'm not telling you to degrade the value of your property just totally, but it doesn't matter what the city or the county what the city says your property is worth, the taxing and I meant the county appraisal district, what they say your house is worth, because if you list it and sell it, you're going to spruce it up. You're going to make it all nice and shiny penny type deal to sell it. So those are the things that you think of as putting yourself in the place of the appraiser, and what they see is, I think, the foremost, most important aspect of doing any type of appeal for your appraisals, especially if you're doing it this month or next month.
if I could help out, this is something and as Tom does his, I challenge every year. Once I receive it, I go around the house, just like Tom said, an appraisal approach. Anything that I see that needs work, anything I know that needs to repair, if the fence needs to be repaired, if I see my pool, if I see I'm taking that picture. I'm also putting a value on the repair. I remember for 3 years, I kept stating until we repaired our windows, we put our windows down. And of course, that's $27,000 in cost of the number of windows we have in our home. That would help evaluate. If you present it to appraiser like an appraisal, as Tom puts it, with photo, with what it is that you're needing to repair and a quote that you've worked through, then now you have a better chance of decreasing the value of your property from the county's perspective, because how they do it. And Tom, Jeff, correct me on this, but I understand it. They take a broad brush approach and say, we'll take these 1,000 homes and raise them 10%, which is the most they can do if it's your primary property. They can raise it more if it's not. But the bottom line is they do a broad brush approach with only 8% of the people challenging taxes. 92% are going to pay the increase. And so
Right.
if you just take the time to reply in a format that they understand, an appraisal format, pictures, cost, analysis, and we hope to get this repaired at this time period, they'll negotiate with you. They'll give you a good price. And to me, this is one of the things that most homeowners forget about. It's a responsibility of yours. Otherwise, challenging them, you don't have much other options, do you? Do you have any options, Tom? Jeff?
No, I mean, it is what it is. If you do nothing, like you said, you take the increase, and it's just like, here's a good example. We all wait and wait and wait over the years until our cable or whatever service we're using, we're like, why are they charging me 3 times as much? When you call and you try to work with them, they will oftentimes be amenable and do that for you, and maybe not charge you that full amount of increase. So try to look at it that way. But I do want to have a question before we get too far away from something both of you said. One, what about right now, this time of year? I'm pretty much going to be needing a new roof soon. I have the damage. I don't have leaking. We've been having lots of hailstorms. Can you put that? Would you take pictures and show that a roofer said yes, you have hail damage? I haven't had my appraisal out yet.
If you have an evaluation of that roofer come out and look at it, showing the damage that's going to be reported to your insurance, you should use those same pictures and show the estimate of repair. And yes, you can use that, and you should use that, because that deters the value of what they're stating your home is worth.
And then Tom, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Most of the times when people pull any comps, they're way outdated. Did you say that as you first started? Or is that from a recent conversation I had that it talked about? That's another, what creates people, they're put in a position that it's not a very good argument because they've used some comps that were too old. Does that make sense?
Well, let me touch upon that for you, that I've run into this, that they're evaluating the properties. When you go in to do your contesting, they're evaluating the properties on what the value was for last year. In other words, when I go in 2025, they're actually using 2024 information to evaluate my property. So you actually need older comps to use to compare yours to what they're drawing up as far as their valuation. And
so I got it back.
That's backwards. That's backwards. Okay. It's screwy that they do it that way, but the taxing authority, I'm going to pay taxes on 2024 values for 2025, so that they've assessed it all the same for 2024.
Okay.
And then if you don't have the mindset of an appraiser, as we mentioned earlier. Have either of you used any of the services in the past that will contest for you and only take a percentage if they save you that much money? Have y'all ever used any of those services? I have not.
I have never used them or anything. I don't know of anybody that has since
you know me.
What's that?
You know me.
Yes.
Well, that's what I do with all my properties.
I didn't know that.
See, now you learn something new every day.
Every day.
Well, that's why I asked that question, because I know you have multiple properties, so that could be a lot.
Yeah, that would be a little bit too tedious for me. I'd rather give up a 25% check on what they saved me in order for them to do the analysis and spend their time down there and bring in all the stuff. It still doesn't stop me from having to go take pictures and send those pictures to them for the appeal. But at the same time, what a pain in the wazoo for me to go down in the taxing authority at the time they assign, when they send that letter back and say, be here between 3 and 5 on June 24th. And it's like,
It's just like Tom to bring on some complaining about something. I'm sure this is a friend of his that he trained in the appraisal business to do this.
Wham, wham, wham. I know Tom's wham, wham, wham all the time.
All the time. Hey, I think we've shown that you can challenge and how you should challenge your appraisal. We highly recommend you do it every year, no matter what. But you need to take the effort, whether you pay somebody or you do it yourself. Please take the opportunity to challenge your property tax. It helps and saves you money. Okay. Mm-hmm. Second question, your turn to ask, why isn't the seller required to do an inspection before selling their home? Pretty good question.
That is a pretty good question.
I mean, it would be interesting to have the home inspected, already done. You're required to disclose those inspection. It would seem to save a lot of up and down. Tom, why don't listing agents get their clients to do inspections before listing their house?
Well, I guess the first thing is cost. Yeah. When you talk about peeling off $400 or $500 at the first, you're thinking to yourself, why did I hire this professional if they're going to cost me that much? I'm willing to pay them at the end when everything's said and done. But for me to do it right now, that money is something that they get edgy about. Also, I think a real important point is that your seller did the inspection, and I have seen situations where they have, but the seller's done the inspection, the buyer comes along, how trustworthy do they feel that inspection is? Not knowing that inspector is TREC trained and has to get a TREC license and has to go through the processes of being an independent third-party evaluator of the property. There's still that skepticism that says, well, you hired him, he's your guy, he's your gal. I want my own person to go in and do an inspection.
That was the main thing I was thinking, the same thing. Just like you mentioned a while ago on contesting your taxes, what if I'm buying Tom's property and it's one of his good old buddies from high school that, oh, here's your inspection, even if he's licensed, am I going to feel like he's going to be looking out for my best interest on my new home? That was the very first thing I thought of at that. But the money.
So what we're saying is, with the cost as well as credibility, this is the key reasons why listing agents / sellers do not do an inspection on the home.
It's pretty much a driving force.
Well, I would have thought listing agents would not recommend it because they'd have to disclose anything that comes out in that report, period.
Oh, well, that's an interesting aspect.
I don't know. Am I being devious? I mean,
Well, and this comes back to, you know, I looked at a house over in Louisville not just too long ago. And when I was looking at that house, it had been totally redone. It had been purchased, and it was purchased by this group in Chicago. That was where the LLC was located. And I went through the house, and everything was really done nicely. The kitchen was rehabbed perfectly. They had put a refrigerator in the kitchen. I mean, it was one of these little, you know, cherry bloom type of 1,200, 1,300 square foot homes, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths that you really kind of like to see come available. And as I was walking through the house, I kind of noticed that, and because, you know, I take shorter steps because of my knees and hips nowadays, taking those shorter steps, you notice things that are
How was
slanted.
that again? Okay.
You notice things are slanting a little bit more prominently than you used to.
Are you tilted, Tom?
Well, in this house, I started to tilt forward as I was walking towards the back of the house.
His woo couldn't keep up with his tilt.
Yeah, thank goodness the wall's right there, and I don't have to fall, you know, fly through the window. But
I thought that design was to help you to get from one side of the house to the
oh
other.
well, it speeds you up. Exactly. That's what it. But once you're at the other side, you can't get out. So put all your chairs there in the corner. But anyway, my question became for the listing agent: hey, what kind of foundation work was done on the house? Because all this other work had been done. I mean, $30,000, $40,000 worth of work had been done. And she said, well, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Have you walked the house? She said, well, it may have some, you know, settling issues. I said, well, we need to go and get somebody in that house. Well, home and foundation inspectors won't go into a house unless you've got permission of the owner to go and do the analysis, which kind of makes sense. But at the same time, if I'm buying the house, I want an independent third party to be, I don't want the, you know, I've got the person going over there. So anyway, the foundation folks go over there and say, well, there's about $30,000 worth of foundation work that needs to be done. And I said, well, you know, the house is already at a top premium type price because you fixed it up. I don't think you're going to be able to get that extra $30,000. So we made an offer that was, you know, less than $35,000 to fix the foundation, and they never did it. But they were now aware of and had to explain to the next purchasers that the foundation was messed up. And she did it. When I first said, well, I'm sending the foundation report over, she said, no, don't do that. And I said, no, I have to send it to you. That was very frustrating.
For you or for them?
Well, I think for both parties, but in different frustration mindsets.
Well, yeah, they tried to put lipstick on a pig and they got caught.
Yeah, and that lipstick was the kind that kind of smears everywhere.
Yeah.
Cheap lipstick.
It was the same thing as I saw of a home, and this inspector was going over, and they had a problem. He says, what is that underneath? And so he pulls up a corner of the carpet, and there's another tile. Then they pull up the tile, and there's wood. And then they pull up the wood, and there's some different wood. And it's like, wait a minute, what have you got here on top of what? And again, like they walked away. So yes, sellers are not required to do a home inspection. I think we've given some very good reasons why they don't, but the opportunity here, cost-wise as well as disclosure-wise, you need to do your inspection on any home, even if it's a new home, newly built. Don't trust Lennar, D.R. Horton, Grant, anybody. You do your home inspection so that you get and you know what the home is, okay?
So just because you just said this, Blair, I do want to add that just because with the new build, of course, all of us know inspectors. We're in the industry and we work with them, but we have seen some really crazy brand new homes, and be amazed at what the inspectors have shown us pictures
Yep.
of. We've all seen it. Just miss things, just back and forth, things that would be totally messed up in your home within a year or two if they weren't found.
Like
and
a
fixed.
plug. I had this experience on my first ever home. A plug right in the wall, no power to it. Never pulled it, just had the plug there. I never tested it. I would have never thought. So, hey, got a next one final. Your turn to ask. I am a first-time home buyer. What should be my top 3 priorities in buying a home? I got to say, this was probably the best question I've seen in a little while. This is very looking for wisdom through understanding is biblically based as well as very profitable to you. So I'm going to give some of my information, but I'm going to start it off with some generic information I think you should be aware of. Now, you can ask anybody in the industry and you're going to get a wide variety on this, but the average home ownership of first-time home buyers is 2 to 5 years. You're going to receive 3 to 7. You can see 5 to 6. I mean, it could be all over the map, but 2 to 5 years. With that information, with understanding that this is your first home, it's your springboard home, you need to be thinking about the top priority in my mind is resale. Location, location, location. Bottom line, this is not your forever home. This is your learning home. You're going to learn what you like or dislike. So number 1 is resale. Do either one of you agree, disagree on to that?
I totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree.
Tom? He's hurting himself. You see it? The wheels are
Yeah, I
turning.
know.
He's hurting himself. It's
You can hear that hamster. You can hear that hamster just going after.
Oh. There you go. Wake up, Tom.
No, I think that that's well founded as far as that goes. I mean, the 2 to 5 thing, a lot of people don't realize that they go into the house thinking, well, this is, my permanent house, yada, yada, yada. Then they get a job that's somewhere further away in another part of the city, and they don't want to drive 2 hours to work every day and lose 4 hours with their family. Or they get an increase in salary and they're going to go and step up to the next, level house for them to own.
Or they add a child to the house.
And that others, 2.5 kids and 3.5 dogs and 4.5 wives, those statistical things that happen.
Is Tom Mormon? I had no idea, Tom.
You had no idea. I'm a Latter-day Saint.
Hey, that's why he has all those houses.
Oh, now they caught on.
How did I miss it all these years?
Oh, you've been
All
missing it all
these
these
years.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tom agrees with us. Number 1 is resale. Location, location, location. Make sure you can resell this home quickly. Minimum upgrades, changes in that 2 to 5 years. It's critical. The second, affordability. Don't stretch yourself out on your loan and make it a challenge. Stop maxing out your buying efforts and got to be in a $500,000. Go with a starter home. Go with a 1-story out, and so that you get the experience. Make sure you don't stretch yourself. And the third one, try one thing unique. Try one thing different. Try to figure out what you do like or you don't like. I mean, some people have to have a pool. Okay, that's a trial. Do you know how to take care of a pool? Are you willing to pay somebody to take care of the pool? Are you willing to do upkeep on the pool? Because every about 8 years, you're going to be changing out tile because tile pops off here in Texas. Water gets behind, it freezes, and they pop. That's just one basic thing most people do not know about a pool. But secondly, just taking care of the chemicals on a weekly basis, you got to be able to use it. And then most people realize I'm not using the pool as much. We're not stay-at-home vacationers. We don't have a lot of parties over. So a pool becomes an experience, but we don't need it again. So you're learning. Try one thing unique by saying, hey, I want an open kitchen scenario, or I want a second room here, or 3-car garage, or whatever it may be. But the bottom line is that first one, make sure you can resell this first home, because it is not your forever home. I guarantee you that. Changes in your family, changes in your job, changes in your desires and experience are going to lead you to a next better. And this is your springboard. You want to take money from this and help you put a larger down payment on your next home. Guys, any other additives for our first-time home buyer priorities?
Well, I do want to make an emphasis as far as one thing you said. A lot of people that buy their first house want to be in a house that is like the house they left with their parents. In other words, their parents, have worked all their lives to have that final house with the extra study and da-da-da-da-da. The realistic setting of goals is so important for first-time home buyers, that this is not your forever house, like you said. But getting that in the mindset of, well, I want to buy a house where I have finished high school, where I finished college. Your parents, if you look back at the house you were born in, was probably just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
I didn't finish college. What are you talking about?
Well, finish military then.
There you go.
But you see what I'm saying is setting the realistic thought process for first-time home buyers is hard in today's society. We want what our parents have now, but we don't realize our parents worked for years and years and years to get to that final stage where they had the pool, or where they had the study, the 4th bedroom study type situation.
Yeah. My dad has the workshop out and back, and it's so great, and I want to be able to do the same thing and all of that. Or I want a 3-car garage. I want all my cars in the garage, and the reality is you move in and most of the boxes stay in the garage for the first year. I mean, that's just reality. But I think we've covered it. I think we've said some very positive things in the sense of educating them on what to do with their first home and why. Again, you're going to stay in that home about 2 to 5 years. It is not your forever. So please take that opportunity to change and look at some priorities that are futuristic and resale. I got to tell you, to be able to sell that home and make your next home may be your permanent. I doubt it, but again, it has a better option. You want to learn from this home and experience it so that you know exactly what you want. I know one thing that Tom never wants to have in any of his homes that he has with his wives. There's no way he wants a master bedroom on the 2nd floor. He cannot do that. He cannot go up and down, and neither can Uncle Blair. I've got to have master bedroom downstairs. So make sure you learn these things that you like for you, not your parents, not your in-laws, not your aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. Make sure you get what you want and learn from that. And that's what this starter home is all about. Final comments?
And I think you hit the nail on the head. That was some great questions.
Great questions. Continue.
Very good.
Find us at welcomehomeradio.net to let us help you get to clear to close. That is our desire here. CTC is always a great acronym. We have all these other 3-letter alphabet groups, but CTC is the ultimate for us. And keep the questions coming. We're so blessed by them. Again, find us at welcomehomeradio.net, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week.
Blair?
Yes, sir.
One thing crossed my mind from our very first question. Of course, all of our emails are on the screen and displayed there, but I do have a very nice 1-page form about your exemptions, and I'm going through that process as well from the comments that you guys added today. So if anybody would like that, shoot me an email at jeff.duffy@fnf.com. I'll be happy to share a copy of that with you.
Awesome. Be glad to do that. Happy week. Have a blessed one.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information.
This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.